kind of supporting the Ascension, which didn't really make any sense. Because I figured they would have the Ascension and the APA have a match. Like, I don't know what Ron Simmons' health is, and I know JBL has a bad back, but I think he could work a match. You know, just ice up and be on Raw. I mean, he doesn't have to do anything after that. And, I mean, the Ascension work a hard style, but, I mean, they could obviously protect the APA. But unless Ron Simmons is, you know, beyond being able to be in any matches. Like I said, I don't know if you guys know, throw it in the comments. But I thought that was the way they were going after they beat up the New Age Outlaws. And then they brought back the Primetime Players, and then the Primetime Players beat the Ascension on Raw. And I'm like, is there something I'm missing? Like, I get there are a lot of people that don't like the Ascension. Either they don't like them because they're not great workers, and that's true. Or they're like, the stupider reason, well, I don't like the Illuminati symbols. Well, I'm sorry, sugar. Like, I already went over this in my last video. Like, did you have this much of a problem with the Undertaker? Like, I don't understand. Like, wrestling has always had goofy, occult, weird symbol people. Like, it's just like a thing in wrestling. Like, did you have a problem with Gangrel would drown people in blood? Blood? Like, I just don't understand that one at all. Like, I could honestly care less. Like, were you offended when Snitsky kicked the fucking Cabbage Patch Baby? Yeah. Like, I just don't understand.
Booted the fucking doll. That was fucking hilarious.
Like, I don't know. That's just, to me, I'm just like, I can't even fathom to grasp the strings of the logic you have to have where you're like, those symbols offend me. I don't know. Just me. So, like, I personally have no problem with the Ascension, but I think it's because I get the gimmick. So, like, everybody's like, oh, they're Demolition knockoffs. And I'm like, no. They're delusional heels. They are literally in the same vein as, like, a Miz, where they think they're super badass Demolition knockoffs. They're not. They're just two guys going, yeah, 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 beating the hell out of people. Like, they're winning, but they're still delusional heels that are like, bushwhackers, fuck you. Where are the Ascension? Welcome to the Wasteland. And just every week, and I'm just like, I like these guys. I like delusional heels. That's like my favorite kind of heel. So, like, they don't bother me at all. I think if they worked better, I would be offended by them. I don't know. What's your thoughts? Like, do you want delusional heels that wrestle well? Would you want the Ascension to be booked like the Road Warriors, where like literally everything they do is a scoop slam? Just 18 scoop slams in a row, like Brock Lesnar with Germans. Scoop slam and repeat. Ascension. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of people like look back at a lot of tag teams and they like, oh, they were so amazing. Mm. I really love the Road Warriors. Don't get me wrong. Not great workers. I don't really know where like you could get that from. Like, for the time they were really great. Not in ring, but like nobody had the fucking look of the Road Warriors.
Oh yeah, like
nobody got the Road Warrior pop.
It's just what it comes down to is not so much being a good wrestler in the ring. Yeah. If you're a good wrestler in terms of the entertainment part.
Yeah, like, I know a lot.
That makes or breaks a lot of wrestlers.
And they're like,
if you can't do one or the other.
I don't like Randy Orton. He's boring. Randy Orton is, like, top tier all time. Amazing. Like, I would put him up there amongst the best in-ring workers. I was watching his match on Raw, the main event tag match. And, like, he took a good 3 seconds between every move he did to just play to the crowd. He didn't have to do big fucking screams. He didn't have to do anything. He just stood there and he would stare. Take a deep breath. Keeping his eyes on his opponent. And then going for his next move. Like, that's great shit. That's psychology. He's working it. Yeah. I love Randy Orton's punches more than anybody on the roster. More than Roman Reigns' giant Superman punch. More than John Cena's weird fucking cartoon punches. More than and Cesaro's just like straight up punches. I love Randy Orton's punches. They take forever to get there. I love that shit. He sells them so well. He's just like, boom. And he measures them in. Like everything he does feels just like amazing. But there's a lot of people that don't like that style. And I could tell them like, oh my god, Randy's the greatest fucking thing going. I feel like everybody in WWE should take a lesson from him and slow down. But I know there's a lot of people that love very quick chain wrestling. I personally really enjoy it. But I feel like you need that other kind of guy. Slow it down. Then you need a Sheamus / Luke Harper that are just going to go in there and brawl. Then you need your Sin Caras and stuff that are just high flying and awesome. But I'm kind of getting away from my point. Whereas, I would never want the Ascension to be super technical master wrestlers. That's just not their gimmick. Their gimmick is delusional heels that are just mean and nasty. And I think they're doing fine with it. I thought it was weird to go over Tyson Kidd, for them to lose to the Primetime Players the way they did. Like, granted, it was just a roll-up, so it kind of protects them. But it kind of hurts their mystique at the same time. Like, I know it shouldn't if they're just playing delusional heels, but they were undefeated delusional heels that were, for the most part, undefeated in NXT. Like, they would just come out, slam the shit out of whoever they were against, and roll out. Like, obviously, they had to drop the titles on their way out. That's just the way the business works. But, like, they had such a mystique about them, and now it's like, like this.
Rather not to these guys.
Yeah, like the Primetime Players, I have no problem with them. I think Darren Young is not looking so well after his knee surgery or knee injury. I don't know if he had to do surgery or not. I don't know. I just feel like he's slower and like not in a good Randy Orton way. Just kind of like his mobility's a little slower. And Titus to me is just sloppy. I feel like he needs to tighten that shit up. Because I like him. I think he has great charisma. I think he's a great talker, but just his in-ring work just kind of, I don't know, it doesn't look good to me. And I like a lot of the shit he does if he just kind of tightened it up. Like, I love the rib breaker, then like the throw across slam. Like, that's cool that he goes into his, selling the gimmick. Like, I love that. But I think like some of the other shit he does is just not crisp. Just clean that shit up. And I think they could be a solid tag team. But as of right now, they're kind of on the jobber end of the spectrum. And why you would have the Ascension lose? Because here's the way I thought it was going to go down. I thought Kid Sar would look really strong. Usos would go over. Usos would look really strong. Go into WrestleMania. Have the Ascension just steamroll the shit out of the Primetime Players. They're undefeated. They beat Miz and Mizdow. They've beaten Goldust and Stardust. Now they beat the Primetime Players. They beat the New Age Outlaws. They look tough. That gives the Usos somebody at Mania to work with. Right now, what the hell are you going to do? Like, are you going to do a fatal four-way like in the Intercontinental title scene? I don't know what you could do at Mania that's really going to pique my interest right now for the tag team division. I feel like...
Yeah, they've been struggling for a while now.
Yeah, like they have a lot
with their tag team division.
Yeah, I mean, it goes through like peaks and valleys, but there's so many tag teams that are treated like jobbers, which is really weird. Like, why on earth Rybaxel was treated the way they were? Like, granted, Curtis Axel has a lot of flaws in his game right now. Like, I think he's a solid in-ring worker. Like, I really enjoyed his match in NXT with Kenta Itami, that's his name. Like, I thought they had a really solid match. But I think he's not great on the mic. He's getting there. It definitely doesn't help that commentary is shitting on him while he's trying to cut a promo. Like, before he even talks, they're shitting on him. Like, oh, yeah, that's how you get wrestlers over. You just tell the audience they're fucking worthless. That should work. I don't know. back on commentator, especially JBL, because he's the guy doing it. I'm just like, don't do that shit. Don't shit on wrestlers before they have a chance. But, alright. We're about to go into the main part of this, and we're preface this by, like, as soon as this promo started, I literally turned my television off and I went for a walk. And even preface that, it was -7 degrees last night, and I was that pissed off that I was just like, I'm going to go for a walk.
He told me that we were going to do this video. He wouldn't tell me what had happened. I didn't look it up because I wanted to remain a surprise, but...
Yeah, I'm hoping this will offend Chudge as much as it offended me. I know there's a lot of people
like,
online that are just like, oh, it didn't matter, you know, it's just professional wrestling and blah,
like,
blah.
Because I have no idea what could have possibly have been said by who.
Okay. So I'm
could have possibly have pissed him off so much. So
yeah, I'm sure most of you guys have seen Raw, so I'll give you kind of a bridge version and kind of explain it a little bit to Chudge who missed it.
Okay.
So at Fastlane, we have Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan, #1 contender for WrestleMania. Roman Reigns won. I don't like it, but it's not any fucking game-changing, super pissed off thing. They had Bryan come out on Raw and put him over. He's like, you were the better man, and I hit you with everything I had, and you still beat me, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I generally don't like that, but it's not, again, game-changing. Then they had Paul Heyman come out, and I generally highly respect Paul Heyman. I'm not a Paul Heyman guy. I'm not a huge ECW guy, but I respect Paul Heyman. He then went on to say that, in his opinion, Roman Reigns could be Andre the Giant in his prime. And not just Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan on a team. He would bet on Roman Reigns. He said Roman Reigns is better than Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, John Cena, and Bruno Sammartino. Roman Reigns has been in wrestling right now, in real wrestling, not NXT, not Florida Championship Wrestling, mainstay wrestling, for what, 1.5 years, I think? Maybe 2 years? And he's had 2 high-profile singles matches. One against Randy Orton, which I think if you even asked Roman Reigns, he would say Randy Orton carried him in that match. Like, it was just not, he wasn't great then. I think he had a really solid showing against Daniel Bryan, but Daniel Bryan's so fucking good. Like, I feel like he could go out there with Perry Saturn's girlfriend, Moppy, and have, like, a 4-star match. I don't even understand, like, where you get the gall. I have no problem with him being like, I think you're better than John Cena, because Brock and John Cena had a match. I can understand that. The Rock, sure, they had a match. Stone Cold, maybe if you're trying to, like, instigate and get Stone Cold wanting to wrestle at WrestleMania 32, which is going to be down in Texas. If you can get Brock back to do Brock in Austin, I could see that being a money match. I'm not a big fan of, like, old guy versus old guy matches. Like, I would rather see... Personally, I'd rather see Austin and Ambrose. I think that could be a really cool match if they give Ambrose Money in the Bank. And, you know, he gets the title at SummerSlam or whatever. You have him hold it till Mania. Austin comes back and he's like, I don't want the title. I just want to face you and find out who's the better man. I think that could be a really awesome match.
I don't think you'd say it quite like that.
I almost even don't have a problem. Yeah.
He's like, I don't care about your damn title, son. I just want to get in the ring and whoop your candy ass.
I also don't even really have a problem with him saying, like, I think you're better than Hogan. Because Hogan at this point is kind of like shilling his name out.
Yeah.
He's sucking off Cena. So I wouldn't even have a problem with that. To say you're better than Andre the Giant is retarded. Like, there's no other word for that. Like, I know that's not a politically correct term. Andre the Giant is the greatest professional wrestler of all time. What I mean by that is no one has ever or will ever mean more to professional wrestling than Andre the Giant. No one. Not Austin in the Attitude Era, not Hogan in the run of Hulkamania. Andre the Giant was the first superstar. He was bigger than professional wrestling. To try to compare somebody like Roman Reigns is just retarded. There is no comparison to be made. And Bruno
and to add to fucking Bruno Sammartino, like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, Bruno brought in a bigger crowd in just New York than Roman brings in the world. Like, there's a reason they call him the living legend. And, like, I understand there's a lot of people that don't really know a whole lot about Bruno. It was something that was really hard to see. Like, I had to struggle to go back and watch a lot of his matches. Yeah. And if you're not, like, a big fan of, like, catch wrestling, it's kind of hard to get through a Bruno match. I understand that. You know, it was a different era. You know, it was a big deal for somebody to get knocked off their feet in that era. So you just have a lot of dudes just kind of leaning on other dudes. Like, that was it. You know, you got a lot of bear hugs, and he'd win with a bear hug, and that was it. But you gotta respect Bruno. Like, he's the forefather of wrestling. Like, but even, like, Andre. Like, I've heard people, like, I watch Bruce Blitz and I respect them a lot, but they're like, well, if they had said Eddie, like, that would have been stupid. I'm like, they said Andre. No matter how you feel about Eddie Guerrero, Eddie can't tie Andre's boots. Like, Andre's in a class by himself. Like, if they built a Mount Rushmore of, like, the faces of the company, there should be a giant fucking statue of Andre above it. Like, he was wrestling. I mean, when he put Hogan over, that's just one notch on the Andre belt. Like, he was everything to every territory in wrestling. I was literally left speechless. Like, I could understand, like, because I know a lot of people are probably like, well, you said you had no problem with the Ascension, and they're like, oh, we're better than LOD and Demolition and the Bushwhackers and the Powers of Pain and everything else and the NWO, and like, why does that bug you? They're heels. They're shitty, delusional heels. They could be like, we're better than Jesus, and I'm like, oh, they're delusional asshole heels. It doesn't matter. They don't believe that. They're just playing a character. When you have a face, especially the guy you're positioning to be the face of the company, and you're trying to tell the crowd he is better than the best thing we've ever had in the company. And the worst thing is you're going to have people that are going to make that argument. Like, well, I never saw Andre hit a Superman punch. I never saw fucking Roman Reigns sell an arena. Like, I'm literally, like, left speechless. Like, I don't even understand how you could make an argument that Roman could bring water to Andre the Giant. Like, like, I'll admit I have issues with Roman Reigns, just as, like, on a personal level. Like, I read some of his interviews. I saw this Not Sam thing. I read, like, a transcript of the Crave interview, and he just came off douchebaggy. So I already really wasn't a big fan of Roman. It doesn't really bother me that they're going to go with him as the face of the company. Like, I'm a WCW guy. Like, if I had to pick any wrestling company ever to be like, this is what I was. And the main event scene of WCW was kind of whack, but they had such great matches with, like, the cruiserweight guys. I had no problem with, like, the weird, like, top of the card, because the mid card was so cool. So, like, I would love to see Dolph Ziggler fight for, like, the title, but it doesn't really kill me not to see it. But, like, just say something that fucking stupid. With a straight face. And the crowd booed the hell out of Roman Reigns. Which he deserved. Like, he literally should have just been like, I don't know about that one there, Paul. Like, I appreciate the compliment. Like, I want to know who wrote that, and I just want to fucking kick them in the nuts. Like, I know everybody seems to think it was Vince,